Hi, welcome back to episode 10 of my Age of Wonders 3 Spearman Only Challenge. Turns 56 and 57, including on turnover. Been a lot of crazy stuff. So, as you can see, the Dwarf Theocrat has been defeated. And so I'll bring you up to speed on key things. Before we get into the battles, you can see I have a concentration of troops down here, starting to think about heading up this way. So a lot of troops here. I also started flowing. I reset my rally points and are having troops flow up into here as I'm thinking about heading through this to get to their capital soon, because these troops are going to be coming up through this, so I want to head this way as well. So I have clusters of troops, and because Global Assault is now up, all of my units are automatically up to gold rank, which is great. There's a heart that I'd like to add. So I took this city, had this city at the moment, though I have a feeling they're going to take it back soon. This shrine will be useful to take for some battles. And, you know, I've been coming up through here and down through here, so I have roads now where, and built some bridges and stuff where I'm flowing people through this way as well. So you can see there's a lot of builders building infrastructure, so I don't think they have a strong presence up here because these were like mostly independents, I think. And so I'm just sending troops this way through that. Everything is mostly the same back here, except for just making sure the roads are all built up through to allow smooth movement. Underground, it's been a lot slower. There's some really funky walls and lava stuff where it's just really been a pain in the ass to move people around, but I have some troops going through here, so I do want to send some people this way up through here to reinforce the attack here. So I am trying to funnel people this way, and I don't know where some of the leaders are, so I do want to cover my bases, and I'm sending some stuff underground. So I have some stacks going through here. Yep, so just taking and holding. This is a rally point up here for a bunch of cities, so that's why you see there's a lot of traffic coming through here. Anything new? Nothing new there. Everybody's pissed because I've been migrating all their stuff up to 2200 race happiness, 31 migrations, etc. You know, it can't even show all the cities. It caps out, but I have even more cities than what is just shown here. Which you can see, especially the stuff that I've captured. Some of those cities have great infrastructure, tremendous production value. Let's look at this, 218. Goodness. So some places where it's infrastructure, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go for the grand palaces, boost these casting points up high. So you can see I have a lot of full stacks at this point, and everybody's gold rank, right? Just solid. I wonder, you know, I should count all this up. Plenty of builders too. About how many of this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So it's like 30, almost, you know, guesstimating probably about 35 total stacks of 6. So 35 times 6, that's like 200, 250 units. So that's a lot of Orc Spearmen. But when you can only produce one thing and they suck, you got to produce a lot. Here's my only hero in the corner. Up to level 6, purely based on casting spells at a difference, which is kind of funny. No casting points. But he's been able to hide the whole time, which is great. So let's talk about some battles. Let's see what is worth seeing. That is not, they didn't have full walls, so it was easy enough. This was So these guys attacked on turnover and I defended, so we'll take a peek at how that went. So I did Bloodbath, thinking that that extra melee boost would be helpful. They countered with a Mass Curse, but I was confident I could do quite well here. And then they did Mass Bless, so pretty tanky between the Mass Curse and the Mass Bless. Really accentuates the difference. But I do have a lot of troops. 214 versus 10 and 7. So, this doesn't help too much, primarily because of the Dread Siege, but when you put the curse on top and hated terrain, I mean, that's 600, that's minus 1100 from those three things alone, so, not great. And in spite of all the other bonuses that I typically have, so a lot of fumblies. But despite all the fumbling, I'm able to slice through them pretty well. So you can kind of see where this is going. Easy enough. So that was that. And what else did we need to show? That is not interesting. That is not interesting either. So it's at this point, their Grim Daughter lost. There's at least one more battle. Yeah. So Shrines of Smiting suck, especially when there's multiple Shrines of Smiting to deal with. So I was like, I'll try and split them. Like, I don't have well-developed strategy for dealing with shrines, because usually by the time you're dealing with shrines, you have T3, T4 units, right? And so they can be a bit tanky. And so in this case, I was like, how do I stay spread enough so I don't get decimated by their AoE ult? So, they still are able to find a way to get several guys, and so just really choose through these low units. But the idea is just to survive the initial assault, like to get them to blow their thing and then go and get up in their face with the rest. So it's really like the initial Divine Vengeance, especially since they are immune to each other's Divine Vengeance. It just sucks. But I think that's everybody's used the Divine Vengeance. They use a little Black Lightning there to plow us off the rest of their HP there. Man. So, pretty brutal. Pretty brutal to deal with. So let's see. I think that was that. And then this, ooh yeah, this was spicy. So Bren attacked me, so it was a city defense, but it was a bunch of crappy units, right? So I only lost one unit, which makes sense because I'm behind walls, I have ranged abilities, so I wasn't really sure what they were thinking. So this is an example of an easy siege defense where I will easily chew through their units. So we'll show this for fun rather than because it was particularly dicey. Excuse me. So feeling a little pressured there on the right. Some of their guys can climb walls, so keeping that in mind. Some of the angles aren't great, but otherwise able to get them off the walls okay. He can climb, he can climb. That guy will be a little beefier to take out. So I'll be able to do some decent damage to them though, because he's on the wall. Guy's putting up a good fight up there, up top against that. Is it this guy here? I think so. So let's see how I chewed through them there. I think that's probably the extent of the interesting battles. I think this is where I took out Bren, by the way. So when I took out their capital later, that's why they were defeated. So they were here when I found them. So I was able to take them out before going for the capital. So yeah, it was a very exciting set of turns. Some auto-combated, some manually combated, but that's the third of 5. So, you know, I would say that by the time I had hit, I don't know, by the time I had taken out the second AI around turn 50 something, I think at that point I was feeling pretty confident. But at this point, with me having taken out the third AI and me just having so many units with global assault and me just having so much real estate, I mean, I've got 70% of the underground, and I've got 85% of the upper ground that, like, you know, I could just do everything purely auto combat. But with the amount of production I have going in all these cities, that it's going to be easy enough to overrun them. So I think it's just a matter of time. And it's funny because I'm going to have this beat in the next 15-ish turns, 10, 15-ish turns. And that's sometimes some of the same pace I've had when I'm not putting any restrictions on myself. So it's just kind of funny how viable it is, even when you're limiting yourself to just crappy T1 Orc Spearman or regular units, to still, with smart economics, smart early battles in particular, but just being smart about stuff, how, you know, you can beat Age of Wonders 3 versus 5 allied AI Emperor opponents on settings that are favorable to AI opponents. And it's just really, really interesting. So this has been episode 10. I'll see you in episode 11.